Hello everyone, this is G and I'm back with a new video. I know I've been gone for a while. It's been a while since I've made one of these videos, and I'm using a pic of RJ as sort of my avatar. So he's my stand-in. It's late. It's like almost 8 o'clock here in New York City, 8 p.m. So I don't exactly have the best lighting. So I figured I would use a picture of RJ instead as sort of stand in as my avatar. But I just wanted to give my sort of thoughts and first impressions on the new GTA 6 trailer, as we see here on Twitter with Rockstar Games. So I just want to briefly sort of go over my history with the franchise so that as I give my thoughts, you have an understanding of where I am coming from with this. So, uh, I think the GTA games have been around since the mid or late 1990s, right? Like the very first Grand Theft Auto, right? But I think like a lot of people of my generation, the series didn't really sort of take off until GTA 3, which was of course revolutionary for its day because it was the first of the sandbox open world games where you could go anywhere. Of course, 20 some years in the future, that game looks, woefully underdeveloped these days, but back then it was the cutting edge of technology and their first 3D game, and or one of their first 3D games, and it had cinematics and all this other stuff. So I played GTA 3, that was my first one. I played Vice City, that's my favorite one. I played San Andreas, and I played a little bit of Liberty City Stories, and I was bored to tears with it. And I haven't played a GTA game since. I did watch playthroughs of GTA 4, which I think, from a narrative perspective, is probably the best GTA game Rockstar has ever done from a storyline perspective. Can't speak to the gameplay, didn't play it, but from a story perspective, I think GTA 4 is the best one. I watched a playthrough of Vice City Stories. I thought it was okay. Um, Tried to sit through a playthrough of 5, was bored to tears. I give 5 credit. I'm not saying it's a bad game. They've been able to, keep it alive and well, especially through the online mode for like 10 years at this point. And to my knowledge, it's one of or is the best GTA title by sales, so the best selling one. Right? So I understand it's massively popular. I'm not trying to diss the game. I'm just saying that for me, from what I saw of it, just bored me to tears. I just wasn't interested. Right? So that's sort of my history with the franchise, so you have an understanding of where I come from with this. So I watched the trailer, and I will admit the trailer doesn't exactly do much, say much. It's really just kind of meh to me. But to be fair to the trailer and to Rockstar, I went back immediately after I watched this trailer and I checked out the trailer for Vice City back in, like, what was it, 2000, 2001, the early PS2 days. I watched that trailer again just to make sure that I wasn't, just relying on, nostalgia. I watched that trailer again, and I watched the GTA 5 trailer. So I did look those up for comparison's sake. And to be fair to this, the first trailer not really having much to it, or just being more like, oh, look, this is the city, this is what's going on, sort of showing the nightlife or whatever, is not uncommon. Vice City pretty much did the same thing back in the early 2000s. Of course, that had like the mid 80s setting, but again, if you watch that trailer, I'm going to leave links to the trailers in the video description. I can't show them here, but you look at that trailer, right? It's just Tommy standing around, and you see, what for the time was cutting edge graphics, and you see the city and the cars and all this other stuff. And of the three, I would say actually that the GTA 5 trailer was the best because of Michael's narration, because it actually gave you an understanding of what his motivation as a character is. But again, the trailer, even though, again, my personal sort of visceral emotional reaction is it's meh. It has a history of being meh. It's basically what I'm trying to say. Right? So I can't necessarily fault it for doing what other GTA titles have done with their first trailers. If anything, it's just maintaining a tradition. So there's that. I will say that it came across to me as like looking through like an Instagram or a TikTok type of thing, which is fine by me. I get it. It's set in the modern day, just like GTA 4 was at the time, and just like GTA 5 was for its day. Again, it's just kind of meh to me. Now, to be fair to it, still, it's one trailer. It's certainly not the only trailer they'll show for this. And if the game does release in 2025, they will no doubt have numerous trailers for the game in the year 2024, and of course going into 2025. So hopefully, as it goes on and more information comes out, hopefully, as more trailers come out, there'll be a little more, at least for me, a little more action packed. Show off a little bit more of the story, the characters, because that's probably the biggest. If I have any sort of knock or criticism really for this trailer, it's that the protagonist character, right? I think her name is Lucia or something. To me, she doesn't stand out visually, right? And to me, when it comes to video games, your protagonist character needs to stand out. That doesn't mean necessarily that she needs to look out of place in the game's world, right? Which is, of course, going to be modern day America, modern day Miami, because Vice City is basically the fictionalized version of Miami Beach, right? But there was just visually, she just looked like any person. She looked like anybody. And that kind of annoys me. And I've made other videos about this way back when. I'm very big on characters looking distinct, standing out, even if their appearance fits in the overall world, they're your protagonist. This is the character who's going to be on your box art, right? So I think that her design is a bit too plain. Maybe they'll fix that. Maybe again they'll show other trailers that maybe give her a more distinct appearance, right? But that's my biggest knock, because if you look at the GTA Vice City trailer, and if you look at even the GTA 5 trailer with Michael, you'll see Tommy in the Vice City one, you'll see Michael in the GTA 5 one, and they have a distinct appearance. Whether it's Michael in his black suit, whether it's Tommy in his teal blue Hawaiian shirt, they stand out, right? If you can lose your character in a crowd and you're playing as them, I think you have a problem. And at least at present, the way Lucia, I think her name is, looks, it's just a bit too plain. She just looks like any woman you would see in Florida, any woman you would see in Miami. So I'm hoping that maybe as it goes on, they'll address that and she'll come across as a more distinct character, and hopefully we'll learn more about her as a character. Because all we know is that, okay, she's either in prison or she's about to get out of prison or whatever. That's a common thing for GTA, right? Tommy Vercetti spent like 15 years in prison, and when you start the game, he's just getting out of prison. So that's nothing new. It's kind of a standard thing for a GTA game, or just a gang-themed, crime-themed game in general, right? Right. The character has a history with the law, right? So no big deal there. I think the only other thing that stands out to me is that toward the end of the trailer, I'm guessing they show her boyfriend, or her. She's obviously sleeping with the guy. I don't know, but she mentioned something about we get through this with trust, and I'm like, honey, you're in a gang game. Trust is the first thing that goes. But again, we'll see as it goes on, uh, what the future trailers show, and hopefully as time goes on, we get a little more, it gets more fleshed out, right? So again, as a trailer, I didn't find this terribly visually interesting or impressive, but again, I can't exactly get upset at the trailer for doing what other GTA trailers have done. right? So I can't ding it for that, but yeah, doesn't exactly have me, rip roaring to save money to buy this game or to get a PS5 or whatever it is or whatnot. So that's me. Now, as we move forward, what I'm kind of concerned about, even more than what the future trailers might show, what I'm more concerned about will be the discourse around this game as it comes closer and closer to release. And the reason I say that is this. First of all, the discourse is starting already. You already have Yahoos online complaining about why is Rockstar selling sexualized games to kids? They're not. The game is literally rated M for mature. They're not selling it to 10-year-olds. If a parent buys this game for their 10-year-old, that's the fault of the parent. But what I'm concerned about is the narrative that will come out. Because here's the thing. You're going to have people, or rather what I should say is that there will always be a narrative regarding the sex, the violence, the blood, the profanity, right? That's always going to be there. People will, you'll always have the moral guardians or whatnot complain about that. It's just like with, say, Mortal Kombat, right? So long as there's, blood and guts and heads being ripped off, there will always be somebody um, claiming that is somehow destroying the moral fabric of society. So you're always going to have those complaints. Those complaints are already starting. That's sort of old hat. What I'm sort of concerned about is how the culture war debate is going to impact this game, or how that discourse might impact how somebody views the game, right? Or the narrative around the game. And let me explain why I say that. Because when GTA 5 came out, that came out in what, like 2013, right? It's about 10 or so years ago. The culture wars were kind of there, but they weren't as big and as prevalent and as constant as they are now. They were kind of in their infancy. And now, in the modern day, right, we have very reactive discourse regarding, and this comes from both sides, the woke and the anti-woke, regarding, how to depict a woman in a video game, right? How do you depict characters who are not white, straight, and male in a video game? Can you depict those characters in a video game? And what I'm concerned about is first of all, them trying, or rather, I should say, Rockstar Games and Take-Two Entertainment sort of censoring themselves or taming themselves a little bit, because they did receive criticism, I think, a few years ago for some of the, I guess you could say, gay jokes or whatnot that were in GTA 4. In fact, I remember, I think it was Sophia Narwitz who did a video about it where she was based in, and for those who may not know, Sophia herself is trans. Yet she effectively made a video basically telling the critics to sort of lighten up, right? It's GTA mocks everybody, right? So I am wondering if that is going to be a factor, if to avoid, um, I guess you could say, criticism of what some call the woke mob, right? That they may censor themselves and they may try to do more respectful, you might say, depictions of women or LGBTQ characters if they feature them, which they probably will. I mean, they have Gay Tony from 4, they have Bernie Crane from 4. There might have been some gay characters in 5, I don't know. I didn't watch enough of it to know. Don't really care for the game. Right, but they likely will have some LGBTQ characters, especially given that it's set in the modern day and whatnot. So, uh, if those characters show, which I think they likely will, what role will they have, and how will it be received, and what narratives will both sides spin around it? Because, like, I'll use the protagonist character, Lucia, as an example of how dishonest narratives can come from both sides, right? The quote-unquote woke wouldn't surprise me one bit if they came up with a narrative saying that it's somehow an insult to Latinas and to women, that the protagonist of the gang game, of the crime game, is a Latina woman, right? Conveniently forgetting that GTA has featured women of color as criminals before because it's a gang game, right? It's like everybody's a criminal or knows a criminal. But they have had female criminals in older games. They had Asuka Kasen, who's Asian, she's Japanese, right? They had Auntie Paulette, who's Asian. I think Kendall from GTA 4, I wouldn't really count, not GTA 4, GTA San Andreas, I wouldn't really count her because she's more of a side character, right? She doesn't really get involved with the crime side of it. But you had, what was that? I think her name is Elizabeth Torres, I think it is, I think it's in 4, right? Or certain parts of 4. She's a Latina, right? So my concern is that you have some on the more woke side who may try to craft this dishonest narrative of how having a woman of color, as the phrase goes, as the protagonist is somehow an insult, despite the fact that historically the series has featured all types of people, men, women, gay, straight, young, old, and of all different ethnicities as criminals, because it's GTA. Everyone's a criminal, right? So there's that. So that's an argument I could see the woke making. On the other side of it, the flip side, I could see some who consider themselves anti-woke making an argument that, oh, that simply having a female protag is woke, because I think every other protagonist for a GTA game has been male. It's like, why do we need a woman now, right? Or that, having a woman of color as the protagonist, right, is basically giving in to the woke mob. Oh, you gave them what they wanted, right? Now, I personally don't view the the I'm trying to figure out how to say it. I don't view having a female protagonist who's a woman of color automatically as wokeness. There's nothing out about this game, or at least there's not enough information in the trailer or presently about it, just in the general discourse, to determine whether or not having a female protagonist is woke. I don't think it's woke just because every other protagonist in GTA has been a male. Same way I don't think it was woke when they made Carl Johnson like the first, I think, black protag. I think he is in the games, at least up 3 on. And I don't think it's woke here, right? I don't look at that and go, "Oh, it's wokeness." I'm actually in favor, at least with the idea of having a female protagonist, because women are not characters you typically think of as the lead when it comes to um, a crime game or a crime movie or whatever, right? It's usually the men, right? The women tend to be more supporting characters, right? They're the sister, they're the mom, right? They're the quest giver in GTA games like Auntie Paulette or Asuka, Kasen, right? They usually play these more supporting character roles. So to see this character sort of be the protagonist, I think, as an idea at least, is good. I'm with that. I'm okay with that. I just want her to be a compelling, interesting, fun, well written character to play as. That's my thing, right? And again, her being a person of color is moot to me because, again, as I've said, they had Asians, right? The Yakuza, Asuka, Kasen. They had Woozy Moo in San Andreas. So you had the Chinese, you had the Tongs and the Triads. You've had plenty of Latinos doing dirt because of Vice City, and then because you had Elizabeta. They've had Italians, right? So they had a lot of black people as criminals in San Andreas, right? In fact, in San Andreas, the main villain is a black corrupt police officer, voiced by Sam Jackson, right? So the race issue to me is no issue because again, it's nothing new, right? It's nothing new, right? And again, I think for the anti-woke, what they might try to argue is that it's wokeness to have a female protagonist in a game franchise that is predominantly had male leads, and when it comes to a player base is male dominant. To which I say I can kind of understand that argument, especially when you take a look at media and entertainment, and I think we're all sort of um, hyper aware, right? If that makes any sense, or we're radicalized, or we're just all too sensitive. Is basically it. So I can kind of understand where they're coming from with that, but I'm not going to automatically damn the game just because it has a female protagonist. I want to see what shakes out first before I can determine whether or not having a female protag was a good idea. Because there's a difference between a good idea that is executed poorly and then just a bad idea, right? And at present, I'm not of the opinion that having a female lead is a bad idea. I'm more concerned about the execution. I think if the execution is done well, it'll be fine. Right, but ultimately, we have what, a year at least before the game is released. So we will see what happens. But yeah, that's sort of my thoughts on it, on what is and what could be and what may happen. So yeah, overall, trailer's kind of met to me. Doesn't really show much or tell you much. But again, neither did other trailers. So I really can't get mad at it for doing what trailer, tra- GTA trailers do. I hope as we move closer and closer, and now we get more information, and hopefully it'll be more engaging and entertaining from my perspective. And what this actually reminded me of in a weird way is the importance of, I'm not necessarily sure if it's print media, but it kind of made me miss gaming magazines. And the reason I say that is because I think what got me hyped for the early GTA games, GTA 3 and Vice City, was that you would have these elaborate write-ups for these games, right? There would be interviews with like the big wigs involved, and there'd be these write-ups. And I think it was the write-up that got me interested in the game at the time more than any TV ad or anything did. Because again, if you had shown me the GTA Vice City ad and I didn't have GamePro or whatever like I did back then, I think if I just had like the visual, the ad, I would have never picked it up because yeah, just showing a car or cars are going around and showing buildings does nothing for me. So it made me kind of miss, video game magazines, right, which were a great medium to sort of get the word out and sort of attract interest or at least generate or garner interest in that way, especially if your visuals are kind of yeah, right. And sadly, these days, modern games journalism, for the most part, is not trustworthy and sadly does more to earn itself mockery than it does to earn itself the respect and praise of gamers, which is sad. But I'm hoping at some point maybe things will turn around. But anyway, that is my nearly 25-minute discourse for a video clip that's only a minute and 30 seconds long. But again, I'll leave, the links to the trailer and to the other trailers and some other stuff in the description. Please review it if you like. If you has opinions, please leave them in the comment section. And I will see you guys around or on Twitter. And I hope you have a good day or night wherever you are. And I'll see you around.